Hi everybody and welcome to the Crafty Crew podcast. My name is Kinger. As always, I'm joined by Mark.
Hi everyone.
By Nally.
Well.
And by Walshy.
Bonjour.
I have to say, when I was editing last week's episode, bonjour?
Bonjour,
Walshy.
We're a cultured lot, you know what I mean? You got to get the international fans involved.
To all the international
multilingual
listeners.
doctor he is now.
Do you know what I mean? You know.
I noticed last week doing last week's edit that one of you said good morning and the last one said good evening. I thought that worked perfectly well, and I have no idea if that was planned, but I enjoyed it immensely.
You got to cover all areas, you know.
Yeah. Lads, I think Mark's very excited about this week's episode because it's amber ales, which he, I think, says is one of his favourite styles. Is that right?
Yeah, like it's hard to pick one particular favourite, but for me this would be definitely in the conversation. And it's mainly because of one particular beer called the Thirsty Ferret Amber Ale, which is fantastic. If anyone hasn't had it, please go try it. It's a delicious beer.
Cool. So it was my week to pick this week, so I'll let you know what we're having. We're having New Belgium's Fat Tire Amber Ale and Wylam Shouting at Strangers, which I chose only because of the name. So I'm really hoping that it's a good beer as well. So Nally, do you want to kick us off with a couple of facts about amber ales?
Yeah, can do. So American amber ales are basically pale ales is where they came from. So in North America, they were just brewing normal pale ales, you know, everything's similar enough. And then they just start using more caramel and crystal malts. So caramel and crystal malts kind of give it that copper to kind of reddish colour. Now they're kind of low in hops. There's not too much hop in them, and they tend to be kind of malt forward. So they're really similar to the Irish ales, the Irish red ales we had a while ago. So these are pretty similar to them in style, where they're more malt forward than hoppy flavors. They're just higher in alcohol, really. But yeah, there's not a whole lot with these, to be honest. They're just made the same as normal beers. There's nothing really special about them. They're just pale ale with extra kind of malts in there to give it that darker colour. That's kind of what stories with these ones anyway.
Yeah, so I kind of looked in to how they're classified and how people consider them, and they're kind of thought of as between your normal American pale ale and your red IPA. So they're kind of like the in-between of those two styles. But as Nally rightly says, they do have a lot of comparisons to the Irish red ales. So, yeah.
And I looked up the amber ales in general, their IBU range and their ABV range. Their IBU would be their international bitterness unit, which is between 25 and 40, and their ABV is their alcohol by volume, talking 4.5 to 6.2 in general for them.
Yeah, so like I think most people will have like, even though we may not understand exactly how ABV is calculated, but we'll understand like roughly what an ABV value means. Could you put like the bitterness unit in scale into some sort of context, like, you know, like how bitter is like a Tangfastic compared to this? Like, where would a Tangfastic fall in the bitterness unit scale? Well, as a doctor, you'd know, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean,
Yeah.
That's a good question, and definitely should have had a little bit more detail on that. But
So I'll give you a quick one for that, Mark. Just a quick one on that. So
thanks, Nally.
The IBUs is the international bittering units to scale. So lower is low bitterness and higher is high bitterness. I'm really, really scientific with this. But yeah, so
No way.
I know, right? I shit you not, sir. But yeah, so kind of the ones we think of as not being heavily hopped are lower on the IBU scale. Beers get their bitterness from the hops. So hops are added at the start of the boiling process, and they give the beer its bitterness. Now you can get extra bittering units when you're adding like flavor and aroma hops, but it's very minimal adjustment to the bittering units. They're all kind of dependent on the hops you throw in at the start. So you can get like double IPAs, for example, are up in the maybe 100 IBUs might be typical for a double IPA. So just anyone who's had a couple of double IPAs compared to these where they range about 25, and you know, your double IPAs might be up at 100 IBUs. That just kind of gives you a range. There's about, you know, it's not an exact thing, but it's about a quarter of the bitterness that you're expecting in this, as opposed to IPAs, double IPAs, say.
Yeah, and that's probably what does appeal to me, Nally, with these. They're much smoother and more sweet and as someone with a big sweet tooth, but who likes a kind of richer flavour and a more full body than your kind of normal IPAs, which I still love. These kind of appeal to me a lot.
Yeah, I think the thing with them as well is, that darker colour comes from the malt that's used. And a lot of the time, those kind of more malt forward beers, that kind of flavour profile, tend to have lower hop concentrations, lower IBUs, so that it can bring out that sweetness in the beer easier.
Very good. I went back to my usual fact suspect on food. So the balance of malt and hop flavors in amber ales pairs them well with like all sorts of kind of grilled food. So like burgers, barbecue chicken, sausages. The American kind of link would be strong because like it's a very popular beer for tailgating when they go to, like, Americans go to basketball games or football games and they're drinking in the car park beforehand, having barbecue. So I think barbecues and grilled food essentially would be really good with amber ales, which goes back to you, Mark, because you love a good barbecue.
I do. I am fucking addicted to barbecues. I've already had about 15 of them. And it's not even the end of March, like.
It hasn't even stopped raining yet.
Yeah, I know. My last one last year was actually in very light drizzle, but I was just like, it's the last one before I have to put the barbecue
Stay strong.
in the shed and stuff. Yeah.
Get that last
So
fix
that makes
in.
so much sense to me. Yeah. We must all go tailgate an American football game with some amber ale at some stage next year.
Some of us can speak for that.
I mean,
Tailgate parties are exceptional.
I mean, Kinger, we could do that and then go out and play. See how well that goes.
Yes, yeah. Let's just crack on with these, Uli. So I think, will we start with the new Belgium Fat Tire?
Go for it.
I think I'm relatively new to amber ales. I think I can't remember many that I've had, unless you can point me in a different
I've
direction.
had
that I have
one
had
or
one.
two. Is marooned? No, what's marooned?
No, it's an oatmeal IPA.
Oh.
There isn't really a massively popular commercial one out there at the moment.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is. There wouldn't be hugely popular ones. The one that we're having now would be considered one of the earlier amber ales that were out there from a kind of microbrewery, craft brewery standpoint. So New Belgium Brewery was founded in, I want to say, around 1991. It's probably on the goddamn can.
1991, exactly.
1991, yeah. Smooth.
I hate when he gets
Accidentally
things and
got
gets
it
them
right.
I hate that. Like,
But
Coincidence.
it's based in Colorado, and the dude basically he was cycling around Europe, and came up with the name Fat Tire. But he was in Belgium a lot, and he loved the Belgian beer styles. So when he went back to America, he based a lot of his recipes off like old school Belgian beers and trying to recreate that over in America.
I like to talk about cans, and this is quite an older craft brewery in relative terms, and it's a shit can. Just to start off, it's blue and red and it has a bike on it. So you've been around long enough now, New Belgium Brewery. I think you need to update your can style, please, and thank you.
Do you know what it looks like? You watch an old 80s movie and someone goes, "Hey man, we'll grab a beer," and this is what they just reach into a cooler. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yes.
That plain, simple design.
I don't know, man. I think that's with this one. It's kind of a classic. But New Belgium have brought out some other beers. I don't know if you've seen them. There's like Voodoo Ranger and 1980s and stuff. They've got that kind of. It's like a skeleton dude.
They're cool.
Yeah, that's New Belgium as well. Some of their cans are pretty funky.
The
like.
Voodoo Ranger
I
ones
suppose
are cool.
they've just stuck with this one because they've just stuck with this because it's their classic.
I can only judge on what I see.
The process.
Okay, so unsurprisingly, the color is
Amber.
It's pretty amber, like it looks like a Lucasade with a head on it. I think.
Yeah.
Very similar, like
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Yeah.
It's really clear as well.
A bit like Nally's Black IPS.
It's definitely clear. The other thing I'd say is when you're looking into it, there's not a whole load of bubbles. Like it doesn't look overly carbonated like we see sometimes, where it's absolutely flaking around the place. It doesn't look it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mine looks pretty carbonated, I have to say. I feel like that's the higher end of carbonation of in terms of what we've had on the podcast before.
Really?
I'd say you're wrong, Kinger.
Yeah, I'd say you're wrong, Kinger.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Are you drinking out of a non-tulip style glass again, Kinger? Are you?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's just a
Very
regular
cultured
old pint
swine.
glass.
Kinger, did you actually pour in the Lucozade? And is that why it looks super carbonated?
Imagine.
Boys, this beer isn't that
Yes,
great.
I really
so
get
it's
the
not.
sweetness you guys are talking about. Yeah.
It's a hint of orange at the back.
He probably accidentally drank it last night and like, boys, I think I might get away with Lucozade. Looks the exact same.
To be fair, it does actually smell quite sweet as well. You can really get that sweet smell off it, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man. 100%.
Yeah, and moving into the taste, guys, it's got a really full body on the mouthfeel, and it's got what I would say is a really, like, the lack of bitterness is apparent compared to your normal IPAs or pale ales.
Yeah.
There is no bitterness there. It's really smooth, and the kind of slightly lower carbonation gives it this really nice full body, and it doesn't have a watery taste, which is a plus as well.
Yeah, that's very drinkable is what that is. Like, it's a little sweet. It's not sickly sweet. That low bitterness mixed with that, kind of lower carbonation. That's really a super drinkable beer. It's kind of I know we say this a lot about kind of those malt forward beers, but to me, it's this one in particular is kind of like that kind of caramelly kind of thing at the end. That sweetness, but it's a little bit. It's not super sweet. It's still a little bit savory, like.
Yeah, savory is a very good word to kind of describe this style. For me, it's quite good. It's missing a bit of character through the kind of front end of the taste. So what I like about amber ales is a lot of them give you that nice kind of rich taste when your mouth is full of the beer, and they leave the kind of caramel aftertaste after. This is missing that first part. So while it does have the caramel at the back end, it's kind of bland on its initial taste.
I'd say, Mark, that this particular one would just be extremely low in the IBUs. Like, there's no real bitterness at all in this one. Whatever that scale you had, Walshy, I'd say this is right at the limits on the lower end. So it is
The lower end.
Yeah. I'd say this could be touching it. Like it's there's no real bitterness there at all. Like this is when we had the Trappists. They're quite low bitterness as well. However, they kind of made up for it by being so heavily carbonated at the start. Whereas this isn't as carbonated, so you don't get that punch at the start. Like,
this might be a weird thing, but I feel like you're edging dangerously close to a similar taste to lager with this one. Like it's not exactly like lager, but it's heading that direction for me.
I don't. That's an interesting one here. I don't see that myself. What I was going to say is I'm finding it very smooth and kind of light tasting, that you could drink 8 of them and think you've drank 4 and you'd be ossified and then find out the next morning it's like, I'm after having 8 of these, and I'm like, how do you know, like, I'm sure we've all had that, like, I've only had like 4 pints last night. It's like, what are you talking about? You had like 12. I could see this kind of drink because it's so light and smooth and easy, and it's 5.2 as well, so it's not Mickey Mouse percentages either.
I think you're just wrong there again, Kinger. I think we're all going to agree that it's not really in danger of going to a lager kind of taste. That's twice, guys. Three strikes and he's out.
We need him for the edit.
No, I'm just messing. I'm just messing here.
No, look, I knew that would be a controversial statement, and it wouldn't be met with much positivity. But I don't mean it's like a lager. I mean it's heading. Maybe it's because I'm more used to the double IPAs, which are probably that little bit more bitter. On the lower end of the scale, this is probably getting there for me.
So this is definitely, like last week when we were reviewing black IPAs, Walshy made a very good point, that maybe black IPAs could be a stepping stone for somebody who liked their ales, didn't really know anything about stouts or porters, and wanted to kind of ease themselves in. This would definitely be a good beer for people who did like your kind of American like lagers or like more mainstream kind of ales, and were like wanting to go to somewhere like red ales or red IPAs or IPAs, because it's kind of more of a subtle taste with a really nice full body mouthfeel. It's a good stepping stone in.
Yeah, Kinger, this is the one you need to get your old lad onto if you want to get him into drinking craft beer. So this is a move.
I think
this
so.
This is the move from Smittix into craft beer for him. Just get him on this bad boy.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
You'll be sharing deliveries in no time.
Yes, Noel King would drink this for sure. He would drink this. Yeah.
You could hollow out the bottom of all his Smithwick's cans and like siphon this stuff into them. You might not notice.
I mean, for one of these cans, you'd probably get the same buzz as a full 500ml Smithwick's can. So he might not notice.
Well, actually, do you know what? This is a weird thing, and it's a bit of a side note. I was chatting to my dad the weekend, and I was asking him would he ever be tempted by a couple of craft beers, and we got talking about Smithwick's, and he said he wouldn't even drink a can of Smithwick's. He'll only drink a pint of it. He said Smithwick's from a can isn't Smithwick's. Like that's hardcore Smithwick's fan right there, I think.
Some people would say the same about Guinness. Wouldn't they? Like a can of Guinness is just not the same as a pint.
Yeah.
I don't know personally, but I've heard that people just like, no, not a can. Can't do it.
It's grand, really. It's grand.
So just to get us back on track, to stop a really big rail up here. So I'm going to maybe swing us round to kind of our ratings with this. For me, this beer is not saying an awful lot. Very pleasant mouthfeel, full body to it, nice caramel aftertaste, but it's missing a bit of character for me. And carbonation's good, but it could be maybe a notch higher, which is something Kinger kind of thought it was earlier on. Maybe if me, Nally, and Walshy had the carbonation Kinger thought he had, it would be getting higher from me. But I'm just going to slam this down on just beer. It's good, it's nice. I'd buy it again, but I don't think it's that special.
Okay, well, I mean, before the other two lads give their rating, I'll just remind everyone what the ratings are, just before.
Everyone knows by now.
Do they?
Everyone knows.
Okay. If everyone knows, Mark, you tell us then.
Okay, everybody. So, as we all know, the Crafty crew have scientifically and painstakingly developed an unalterable, unchangeable, undeniable rating system.
He's doing very well so far.
That is globally recognized as the world leader of beer rating systems. We start off with the lowest of the scale, which is unbearable. We then move up to our second level, which is booze.
Mark, do it without your drawing.
For anyone who doesn't know, I have a drawing of our rating system and our logo in the little room where I record the podcast. I'm going to put my hands over my eyes, Nally, right, for the rest of it. Our third rating is just beer, our middle of the road rating. Our fourth is is Brutiful. Nearly made a mistake there. Our fourth is Brutiful, which is for those above average to almost exceptional beers. And then Unbeerleavable is our very top rated beer, of which there's only one member. There's also a kind of asterisk member as well, yet to be decided. But if you want to find out more about that, listen to our Paddy's Day special episode. Is that okay, Kinger?
Consummate professional, like unbelievable. Tried to throw him under the bus and he jumped right out of the way. So well done. This is Brutiful for me, I have to say. I think this is a really, really nice beer. Like Nally was saying earlier, very drinkable. You could easily drink 6, 7, 8 of these in one sitting and not get sick of the taste. Like, I really like the sweetness. I like the fact that it's not at all bitter. And it like some craft beers can be a bit of a chore to drink. Like I had another black IPA the weekend, and it was like at the start of it, I was loving it, and by the end of it, I was like, this is tough work now. But this, I could just like swamp all night. So I'd say Brutiful for me.
Yeah, man, that's fair. I'll be in the same camp as you on this. I think this is a Brutiful beer. Much the same reasons as you had on this, Kinger. The taste is not, it's not overpowering. There's nothing there that's going to turn you off it. You could easily sit and have a couple of these. Now, I know we said recently it's not a big metric that we use for, whether you can hammer a couple of pints of it or not. But this is definitely, I think that's one of the things that moves this up for me is the fact that you could sit there and have a few of these in a night and not be like, oh, this is getting too heavy, or this is, you're not going to get any hot burn or anything off this. You're just going to be able to go through them grand, no bother at all. So, yeah, I'm landing on a Brutiful as well, man.
Yeah, I see. I get what Mark was saying earlier. That was like, it's nice. There's nothing where it stands out. There's nothing overly special. I don't think you're going to remember it for it. Like, oh yeah, that was an unbelievable beer. But it is no more than like the rest. He said, yeah, I could very easily sit there and drink, 7 or 8 of them in a night, no problem. So I'd go straight up Brewtiful. It'd be a low Brewtiful, but a Brewtiful nonetheless.
Okay, so that's Brewtiful for Fat Tire from New Belgium. Well done. And I'd just like to, throw in a little afterthought there that all of us could probably sit down for a night and drink an entire evening of Tesco brand cider. So just being able to drink it is not,
incorrect.
Oh God,
not a
no,
sign of
that's
goodness.
that
Incorrect.
is very wrong.
I'm not having that.
No.
I just don't like being wrong.
I
Sit down and drink.
just wanted to point out that it's consistently now Walshy with his ratings hasn't just given a straight rating. It's been either a low or high. It's like he just hasn't said it's Brewtiful or it's beer or it's Brewtiful.
It's difficult when it's
a low Brewtiful, but just get off the fence, man.
Mark, do I get a song if I ask a question, do I? Because it might be the only reason I ask a question.
Yeah, you can get a song. What genre would you like?
Oh, I mean, Norwegian death metal, please. But
Of course.
just to make it difficult.
Okay. With my lack of musical talent, this is what I've thought of in 5 seconds. Are you ready?
Dear God.
Everybody shut up, Nally wants to ask a question.
I'm sure that's what Norwegian death metal sounds like.
That might be my favourite bit of audio from the podcast that's ever happened. It's quality.
Epic. Mark, I applaud your effort. That was maximum. So lads, I know every so often we do chat about the cans, and we we kind of comment on the style on the cans and what they're looking like and stuff like that. So I was wondering if you have any particular cans where the artwork stands out to you more than any others. Like, have you a favorite artwork on a can from any of the craft beers that you've had?
Oh,
That's a good question.
I have a few.
Just to point out to any listeners, it doesn't help us that Walshy pastes all the labels from his cans on
Yeah,
his
just
wall.
turn around and look.
I have an unfair
So
advantage.
myself and King are kind of wistfully looking into the air, trying to remember. Walshy is literally just looking at his wall. There's a pasted load of cans.
I also have a frame up here with more of them. I have another one in a different room. Yeah, no, I've quite a collection gone. Like, there's literally no room left on my wardrobe for any more. While you're thinking, so since I have a load here, I'll start off. I do have a few. I do really like the Candyman from Rascals. Just the font and all that kind of stuff is really cool. White Hag's Hoppy Lager. It's just cool little waves and stuffs of colour. It's very nice. After that, the new one from Dead Center. Not Concrete Jungle. Oh yeah, Concrete Jungle. It's like at the bottom of it, it's like kind of like New York or something, and the lights and the kind of dark logo they use is really cool. That's just a few, but I'm sure there's loads more.
I don't think I have a particular favorite beer, would say, but I love when breweries have like a theme through their can designs. I was actually chatting to Mark earlier, weirdly, about can designs. Whiplash do this really cool. Their double IPA is cream on chrome, the one that I really like. But they all the cans look like it's just kind of a bare white label with like a real minimalistic, kind of I don't know what you describe the minimalistic art like, but it's weird. Like it's kind of weird. I also like Hope, brewery's kind of theme. It's that like. It's not cartoony, but it's really well drawn animation stuff, and that draws me in. Like the look of a can draws me in. It might taste like shit, but I love the can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Generally, it doesn't. To be fair, generally, I feel like if a brewery has put a lot of work into their artwork, they're proud of that drink. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of what stands out to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kinger. And the Hope one was what I was going to drop. It's near me in Dublin. And all of their names of their beers, they have some sort of reference to it in the picture. So like they have one Handsome Jack, which is like a skull and with a pirate. With an eye patch because he's a pirate and a sword. The Grunt one has like a pig in a bucket. Hop On is like a tram. the underdog one is like your man Charles Mulligan, the really old fighter guy.
I love Pacifican, the horse. It's
Pacifican is a
Oh
horse.
yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. And the way it's drawn, it's as if it's a camera underneath a horse's head, kind of, so you're like looking up at it. And that's a horse because it's based on a famous highwayman who would have been on horseback at the time. So yeah, that kind of style is really cool. Kinnegar also do a really cool style with that because they have their Thumper, which is a hare's fighting.
Yeah.
Big Bunny, which is just a big fat bunny. Rust Bucket is a Labrador flying a plane. The Red Ale has a Massey Ferguson. Their Black Bucket that we tried last week has an undetermined animal in a black.
It was either a cat, a fox, or a dog, wasn't it? Or was it 3 choices?
Sorry. I had cat. I think Nally had fox, didn't you?
Yeah, and I had the same
Kinger
dog as
dog.
Rust Bucket.
Yeah, and Walshy had dragon. Yeah.
Nobody has said I'm wrong yet.
Can I say it now?
I'll say it now if you want.
Yeah. But I think the cool thing about those kind of styles is even when you're looking at different cans in the range, maybe the picture's completely different, but because the art style is so distinctive, you know it's that brewery.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they don't rely on the same logo or the same, because I know some breweries like do the same logo, and then like the can is slightly different. Like the White Hag do some really psychedelic cans. So do Galway Bay, and their logo's the same. What I like about those breweries is there's less about the logo and more about the picture, and the picture lets you know that it's them. I compare it to something like South Park. Like if you saw any South Park animation with no context, you know where it's from.
Yeah.
You know, there's no grey area, and there's loads of shows like that, and there's even music like that as well that has its own distinctive kind of sound or feel, and that's what I really like about those cans.
There's one more I thought of, and that's mostly because I just looked behind me. Just an honourable mention, and I shared a picture of one of them to Mark here yesterday. From Rascals, they have these two new beers, a New Zealand hazy IPA. Can't remember what they're, but one's called Bruce and one called Betty, and they're literally, it's an Aztec kind of mask with a load of vibrant colours, and their kind of crown or whatever's on them is just a load of hops, which I just thought is really cool, very very artistic.
Cool. Nally, how about you? Are you going to answer your own question?
I guess. You've kind of said all really good points, and made me rethink a lot of my decisions that I was going to have. But I like your idea of the artwork being, like you said, with Hope or Kinnegar. It's very clear and obvious that they're the ones that have made the beer. It's very distinct style of artwork. I like the logo and changing the logo up. Depending on the beer and kind of having the logo match the name of the beer. I like that, but no more than yourselves. It's kind of that style, it's that brewery. So if it's stuff you like, you tend to gravitate towards it. It's fine. But one I'm surprised Kinger didn't say is one that I love the artwork for. Was Metal Beer Solid.
Yellow Belly.
Metal Beer Solid, man.
Yeah.
That's a class can,
one.
so it is.
Yes.
The artwork in that is amazing, so it is, yeah. Like Yellow Belly's no more than Hope and Kinnegar. The Yellow Belly series, they have their own kind of like cyberpunk characters on the cans that I think are very recognizable as well. And for anyone who games a bit, there's Metal Gear Solid. They brought out the Metal Beer Solid last year that Kinger will never forget. And I thought
I'll never get over it. Yeah.
I thought that can was really cool. Just the kind of whole snake feel and everything from it. It was a really good idea. So it was, yeah.
To be fair, all their cans are very good. That kind of central character who just changes appearance depending on the beer.
Yeah.
He's a pirate, Walshy, for
Castaway.
Castaway, right?
Yeah, class.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, they have a new one, a dark red IPA.
Red
It's
Noir.
kind of the black and white. Remember what was that film with Bruce Willis from years ago?
Sin City.
It was a really cool can. I look forward to trying it. Yes, that's the one.
So I guess our kind of consensus there, Nally, for what was a very good question, is that we like cans that follow the same theme but don't hinge themselves on keeping the same logo all the time. And their artwork, because of that, makes it distinctive that who the brewery is without you even having to read anything on the can.
that leads us nicely into our second amber ale of the week. So this one is Wylam Shouting at Strangers. They're from Newcastle, which I'm hoping will just be some kind of a positive, because generally, well, their football team is shit for a start.
Oh god! I even think their rugby team got relegated last year or something as well.
So there's no Premier League sport in Newcastle next season, right?
Probably not.
Maybe.
No.
Ooh.
I was going to say their football team won't be too far behind the rugby team.
So this.
Jesus, lads, that smells weird.
You didn't say go ahead and open them up.
Sorry, I was talking shit about Newcastle while I was opening them. Apologies. Crack them open.
You missed it. You missed the first one.
Yeah, so
It is a weird smell, isn't it?
just a quick one on this one, lads. I was just having a quick look at the can there. So it is an American amber ale, but it's made with Quebec Yeast. So this Quebec Yeast is a bit of a madness. So it is. It's a Norwegian farmhouse yeast, it's a really kind of old strain of yeast. But the reason it's so good is, I can't remember which episode it was, but a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about a strain of yeast that could absolutely devour true sugar. This is that yeast. So this is the one that people have kind of taken to using if you're trying to get, from beer to kegged beer within a week. Like, you could get 19 litres of beer fermented out completely and into a keg within a week using this yeast. It's ridiculously fast fermenting.
The colour, it's quite amber, but it's very definitely a hazy beer.
It's way more hazy, right?
Compared to the last
Oh
one.
yeah, you're not seeing through it.
It's also holding an excessive head for me. I don't know if that's just me or anyone else.
Mine's not too bad, but not as bad. It was that high for a minute, but it went down quick enough.
This smells what I feel like a sour would smell like. It's kind of on the same.
Yeah, it's got a real sourness to it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Would that be anything to do with the hops then, or no?
No,
That should be.
I think that might be something to do with the yeast, because it's kind of a farmhouse yeast. The other style that use farmhouse yeast are called saisons, and they give you that kind of like, I know you're saying sour, but if you take a smell of that again and just think of like a barnyard, like that kind of, it's not just sour, but if you think of like a barnyard when you're taking a smell of it, it's going to be, you kind of see what I mean. It's kind of that like
Outdoorsy.
Yeah. Not just straight sour like the other ones we've had.
Talking about Quebec Yeast. So Quebec, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If we've any Norwegian fans, please let me know. But it's actually just like a slang term for yeast in Norway. So it's not even the official word, but it's incredibly resistant to spoilage or outside flavours. So other yeasts, ale yeasts, can kind of be spoiled or can take in, say, more airborne sugars and, can maybe have unpleasant aromas seep into the beer. But this stuff is like super resistant to all of that. So it's almost like the pure beer taste you get whenever the fermentation is finished.
So is this some kind of a super yeast then? Like, because the way you're talking about it seems to be just like amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Mark's saying there, so it kind of, it doesn't take in a whole lot of excess flavors in that, which can be a good thing, but can also be kind of a hindrance, because the yeast is, in Belgian beers especially, the yeast gives the beer a lot of its flavor. So sometimes, not getting those extra little flavors and stuff isn't as good. But the other thing with the Quebec yeast is it can be fermented at ridiculous temperatures. So you can actually ramp the temperature up. Usually you keep it around 18 to 20 degrees, but these can be fermented all the way up to like 26, 27 degrees, that's just crazy temperatures for yeast to be fermented through beer, so it is. But yeah, so like you were saying, Kinger, the smell is a bit on the sour side, or a bit like barnyardy, I think. But have any gone to try it yet?
It tastes amazing.
I personally think if you handed me a can without a label on it, I would think this is a sour.
It tastes nothing like a typical amber ale at all.
No.
That's why I was so caught off guard. I was like, what's going on? It tastes exactly like a lot of sours I've had. And I personally love it. And I would happily shout at some strangers after.
Yeah, I was just saying.
The other thing with this, just having a quick look on the can. So this might be our first of the beers we've had. This might be the first one that has some additives in it. Well, maybe apart from the stouts. So on the can as well, it has zest of orange in the fermentation process, I'd say, or else in the conditioning process afterwards. But it has on the can that it has zest of orange in it. So are you getting a lot of orange with this beer?
Yeah, it's just like a sour orange kind of taste. Like, I'm trying to describe it, but it's somewhat similar. Do you ever drink like My Waddy orange without diluting it?
Yes.
Kind of getting like a bang of that off of it.
Yeah. Just super sweet kind of thing.
Yeah. It's also very, very crisp, which is quite pleasant. And also, like, that kind of reinforces what sours usually are. They're that kind of boom, they're gone off your tongue kind of feel.
Yeah.
It does have that a little bit as well.
Yeah. I like this a lot, I have to say. This it's a bit like you and the sours, Mark. The smell initially would have put me off. I'd have been like, this isn't going to taste good. And then the initial tasting was like, yeah, it's really, really tasty. I wonder if that nice taste will kind of dissipate as we kind of go on.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, Kinger. So at the start, I was liking this. I've gotten into it a bit now. I think it's kind of starting to get a bit heavy or something. And I was just thinking, just like you said, if it's going to change, like we've said it on this podcast before, and Mark's brought it up especially, said you need to get your beer tasters to go the whole way through a can. Don't be telling me how good it is off the first sip, like. So.
Fair.
Damn fucking straight.
So I think this one for me tasted okay at the start. I'm kind of about halfway through now, and
it gets tough.
It's getting a bit heavy, man. So like I
Yeah.
completely I was agreeing with you at the start, but I don't know if this is going to be as high as I thought from the first sip.
So for me, expecting an amber ale, what I'm expecting is a nice full body, caramelly sweetness, and a nice character. The taste is very nice. It's super crisp, okay? But the orange almost overpowers anything else this beer has. I don't really get any other flavours off of it. I don't get that caramelly sweetness because the sharpness of the orange and the crispness of the beer are like in your face almost. You get this crisp, sharp orange flavour and it overpowers your senses kind of. So, like, I wasn't really sure how I felt. I was surprised your initial thoughts were so good. Like, I don't know, I'm very quite confused with this, that it's completely not what I expected. It's okay, but I don't know where I'm landing. I'd be really interested to hear Walshy's taking it as Mr. Sours, our Sours resident expert. And this beer being kind of far removed from what we thought it would be. What does he think?
This is where I like it, but it's not supposed to be a sour. And to me, it is. So, like...
Would you rate this differently if you knew it was a sour?
Maybe, but even at that, I wouldn't have it as high as some of the sours. Like,
yeah,
my holy grail sour is that, and I'll compare everything to that. And we all had one or two in the last day or so that we thought was beautiful, and that'd be up there as well. But as sour goes, no more than, like you said, Kinger, very, very nice at the beginning. And then, as Nally pointed out, you get that few sips in, it gets heavy. It does get very heavy. And it's not like it's like percentage-wise, it's massive by any means. It's 5.8, it's not small, but it's not colossal either. But it feels it.
Amber ales are kind of aimed at being drinkable as well. That's supposedly a big characteristic.
That's it, yeah. And I don't think I could. I mean, one or two of them, but I don't think I could. Like unlike the Fat Tire, we were like, I'll drink 7 or 8 of these.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I've had 3. It's like, no, you haven't. You'd get it through it so easy because it's so smooth. This not so much. I do like it, but for me, it's a just beer because it's not what it's supposed to be.
So I'll lay this out there for one of my favourite styles, maybe my favourite. I've been a bit disappointed today with the offerings. Wasn't overly impressed with New Belgium, but it's a good beer. This for me, I will struggle. I'll finish this. I'll struggle to finish it. It's getting heavier with the sip, and I probably won't look to buy this again. However, like, I suppose if you are a sours fan and you wanted to have an amber ale, like, I mean, I guess there's some overlap there. I would say this is a booze for me.
Oh, severe. Okay. So I like first taste. I wanted this to be unbelievable. I really did. I thought like they're trying to do something different with an amber ale. And initially, I was like, "This really works." The more I drink it, the more I'm inclined to agree with you boys that like it's getting harder and harder to drink. In direct comparison to the Fat Tire, like you couldn't have more than 2 of these in one sitting. Like I feel like I've eaten a full meal drinking this, you know. So I would have this as, I was going to say even beautiful, but I'm actually going to put it a smack bang as just beer. I think booze is probably a little harsh because I do enjoy the flavor. It's just super heavy, so it's just beer for me.
Yeah, so I'll go then, and yeah, as you've said before, Kinger, I've just swapped the last of that beer, so that means one of 2 things: either it's unreal or I am not a fan. And in this case, it's the latter. Yeah, not a fan. That's a booze for me. Yeah, it's like I said, I'd have 1, maybe 2, but even that would be a push at this stage. It gets really heavy near the end of the can. Like Mark was saying, one of the keys of the style of the amber ale is that it's super drinkable. The Fat Tire was great for that. Like, fair enough, to Mark's point, it might not be the best amber ale he's had, but for me, the Fat Tire is great. Super drinkable. I could have a heap of them. I'd be happy out. The flavor is it's subtle, but I think that's kind of the point of it. It's not supposed to be heavily hopped, and it's just kind of a bit of a sweet beer. That there, not for me. Yeah, I don't know. The orange zest hasn't helped it, in my opinion. I usually applaud people for going out of their way and trying to experiment with them, and I will. Like, major props for giving it a go. However, I think this is one, it's confined to your recipe book and don't put it back out again.
Maybe stop shouting at strangers and start asking people who know how to brew nice beers how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just so annoyed this is getting a just beer because shit is piss.
I'd agree with you, Mark, on this one, man. Usually I'm pretty optimistic about these things, and I always say round up, but damn, this one's hard to take on the rounding up, so it is.
It's probably harder for Mark to take because it's amber ales and he loves amber ales.
Yeah, I love these things.
This is Trappist for me, man. This is what happened.
Can I just say one thing, though? Because Walshy was just about to bring up the fact that this happened to him with sours. But at least with your respective episodes, you got to taste 2 beers you really enjoyed. And then maybe you weren't too happy with how the ratings went. With this episode, I got to taste 2 beers. One was grand, and the other one I thoroughly did not enjoy. So I feel like I've been screwed on 2 fronts with this. Not only did I not enjoy the beer, but it's getting a rating I don't agree with.
Cool. So the Crafty Crew podcast give Wylam Breweries Shouting at Strangers down the middle, just beer, much to Nally and Mark's dismay.
Boo.
So, if I was to go through each of your Untapped profiles,
I like this.
Phones away. Phones away.
Oh shit!
If I was to call out a couple of beers that you guys have rated on your Untapped profiles, could you tell me what you rated them?
Can we have the Crafty Crew rating system? Can you amend our ratings on Untapped to the Crafty Crew rating system? Because obviously
there's going to be a lot of like 3.25s and 3.75s and
it's just the superior rating system.
I can certainly try. Well, like if you're within 0.5 of a rating, then I'll give it to you. How's that? Yeah.
Okay.
So
just for any listeners who aren't familiar with Untapped,
it's
like a kind of Facebook or social media for beer, where you tag all the different beers you've had, you tag your friends. We're there as Crafty Crew Podcast. Come and add us as a friend, and you can see all our ratings, and we'll like all your beers and stuff. But it works on a 0.25 decimal system, so it goes from as I think 0.25 is the lowest rating you can give it. In fact, I know it's the lowest rating you can give it, and it goes to 5.00, and so in 0.25 increment.
Okay, so we'll go Walshy first because I'm going to go in order on my screen. So it's Walshy, Mark, then Nally. Just also, I feel like Nally needs to bounce back from his
Fuck you.
horrible loss last week. Okay, so each of you are going to get 5 beers from your Untapped profile, and whoever matches the same rating they gave it now wins. Let me see. Walshy, on January 6th, you had Hope Beer's Grunt. What did you rate it out of 5?
3.5.
Incorrect. 2.5.
Oh wow. Okay.
Zero for Walshy so far. On January 1st, you had the Wild Beer Company's Pogo. What did you rate Pogo?
I remember vaguely liking that one. It has to be 3.5.
4. He gave it a 4. So I think
4?
Oh.
Yeah. So does he? He scores that one right? He's within 2 increments, okay. Correct? Yeah.
3.5.
Do we get extra points for getting it right on the money?
No.
I'll see.
It's a good tiebreaker if you don't want to do sudden death.
You'll see. You'll see.
You should get this one, Walshy. January 26th, you had the Candyman from Rask.
Oh, that's up there. It's like 4.5.
4.25. He gave it. Yeah.
This Walshy's January is starting to look quite bad, isn't it?
Look,
it actually is. Yeah. Sorry.
My birthday was mid-January. I mean, there's a lot of hazy days there. So
October 24th. So going back a bit, Walshy.
Oh wow.
You had Twisted Sour from Vocation Brewery.
3.75.
Oh, 3.5 he gave it. So he's close enough to get a hit there.
So that's 3 out of 4.
Listeners can't see what I can see, but both Mark and Nally are furiously going over their Untapped ratings in their heads. Trying to remember what they had.
We have our hands on camera, so we aren't on our phones.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And then Walshy, finally, let me see. You had September 27th.
Come out.
You had Bohemian Pilsner from 8 Degrees. Not a big fan of the lagers or the Pilsners, so what did you give this one?
Bohemians on 8 Degrees. I did like most of their stuff. 3. Just 3.
Just 3?
Yeah.
If you'd added 0.5, you'd have been bang on the money. But
I was going to go 3.25, but
you're actually close enough to get a point. So that's an impressive. Because we did say that if they were within 2 decimal places, they would get the point. So Walshy gets 4 out of 5. That's a good.
That's a marker. That's a marker.
Guys.
Fuck you, Walshy.
I don't have.
That is a good marker.
I'm so annoyed he did so well.
Mark, you had a go at Walshy for having a bad January. I'm not even at your January yet, and I'm still scrolling.
Oh man, thank God none of my anti-circles or my parents listened to this. Jesus. I hope not.
Okay, Mark. February 14th, so Valentine's Day.
What was I doing? Can you tell me?
You had a Massey Red Ale from Hillstown Brewery. What did you rate it?
Well, a Massey Red Ale.
Massey Red Ale.
Oh, Massey Red Ale. Yeah. I say I rated that thing 3.25.
Whoa! On the button, 3.25. Yep, that's a good start. That's a great start.
Yeah.
Let me see. January 20th, you had limited edition number 22 Oak Aged Stout from Hope Beer. What did you give this?
I'm pretty sure I was about 8 cans deep when I had this kinger. So I'm going to say I give it like a 3.75.
3.25, but you're
just about.
within,
Score.
You're just
It's a
within
score.
it. It's a score. So that's
Maybe that was the start of the 8 cans.
that's 2 for 2. February 10th. Wonder Bar IPA from Rascals Brewing.
From Rascals, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to repeat myself, but I'm going to go 3.75 again.
4.
Yeah, I did really like that beer.
But again,
Rascals are a very good brewery.
But again, that's
They
a
are.
score. That is a score.
I'm screwed, lads.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that within 2 decimals is maybe makes it a very fairly easy.
We'll change it for Nally, though. It's fine.
Has to be on the nose.
February 13th, Mark.
You drank a lot in February, didn't you? That was
Must
a
have had
good
a bad
week.
Valentine's Day.
You had a Belfast lager from Whitewater.
Oh, hang on. 2.5.
2.75.
Oh, I knew I didn't like that much.
But you're consistent, like your score. That's 4 out of 5. So you've tied with Walshy.
And I've one question left.
You have 1 left.
I'm trying to go back a bit further than this year.
Like, what you want to find? You want to find one of those beers I had, one of those nights where Adrian was giving out about me, and I don't remember.
One of them beers.
You want to find one of them tag-ins, because I have no fucking clue what I even drank.
Your sixth ever check-in on Untapped was Piston Head Custom Lager from Brutal
I
Brewing.
really like this. So I think I gave this like a 4.
Mark, you didn't like this. You gave this a 2.
What?
Oh, it's Forrest!
And I thought it was about being 1 off. But then, like you said, your 6th ever. That's.
I can't remember, and I know that I like a lot of the Piston Head stuff, and I'm
Not
very
that one.
disappointed.
No, not a fan.
Okay, Nally, December 30th, so Festive Spirits. You had Not My Disco by Third Circle Red Ale. What did you give it?
3.25.
I mean, out the gate on the fucking nose.
Of course it is.
Get wrecked!
More so what he doesn't get on the nose now at this stage. The man loves what he loves.
Dear God, Nally, you have had an absolute kaleidoscope of beers. Like, it's incredible. November 20th, you had Lucky Jack from Lervig, a pale ale.
Lucky Jack from Lervig. Oh, that's
Very nice
the fisherman on the cover, is it? I think that's the
amazing,
fisherman on the cover.
Yeah.
It's was that Lucky Jack? Balls. Do I play it safe? 3.5.
Yeah.
I think it was 3.25, but 3.5.
3.0. 3.0.
Oh, okay.
He's just inside the threshold. January 16th, you had Pierce Lines Brewery's Journeyman Pale Ale.
3.25. Oh. Yeah, 3.25. It's 3.25, 3.5, 3.25. I'll go with 3.25.
2.75.
Oh,
that's still a score though, isn't it?
yeah. No, but like he was going to change to 3.5, so
Yeah. Oh.
yeah.
That's close. I thought I liked that.
Still on track for the win, Nally.
January 1st, the Full Irish from 8 Degrees. I think you might have had the wrong Full Irish that day.
Oh, I think I had both. Full Irish, 8 Degrees.
You probably give that a 5, Nally, didn't you?
Oh, easily.
Do you know what, Mark? No. See, this is a killer because that's a nice beer, but sometimes I get it and I'm like, not in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Kinger, I'm going to go with a 3.5, please.
On the button.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, boy.
3.5. Walshy has now put his head in his hands. As it stands, all the boys have 4 correct. But Nally has 1 to go.
I think Nally should have to get his last one right on the money.
I've got 2 on the money so far. I think I'm doing all right.
To be fair, he's got 2 like square on the nose, like, you know.
I think you should go back about 2 years.
Well, no, I'll go back. I'll go
on,
back
Kinger.
as far as
Scroll back the facts.
Mark joined in October, so I'll go back to October. You had Vocation Brewery's Pride and Joy, American Pale Ale.
Lovely beer.
Yeah, it is a
Or
lovely
is
beer.
it?
What did you rate it?
Now, Pride and Joy is pretty
If
decent
Nally-
there, to be fair.
If Nally gets this right, he's taken this week's quiz and gets back on the throne as the king of the Crafty Crew quizzes.
Yeah, you never called me the king last
Yeah,
week.
like,
Hang
what the
on. Hang on. Bit of favoritism going on here, huh?
King is in my name. I can throw down wherever I like.
Hang on. No, we're giving him more time to think. Make him answer.
There might be a little bias since they play for the same team as well.
No.
Make him answer. Walshy, make him answer.
All you have to do is say 3 and
so-
you'd probably get it.
I don't, because it's pretty sure it's higher than that, Walshy. I don't think 3 would cover it. I think I have to go for... See, I think it was better than 3. I think it's 3.75 is where I'm going to land.
Just tell us.
3.5.
3.25.
Yes! I knew it from the point. Get in. Get in.
I think I would have lost miserably anyway. But the 0.5 is a bit too much.
Hey, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and have you throw shade at my game after you've lost. You came second. No. You came second last week, and you were just fine with it.
I said it a couple of minutes ago as well, and I think if you were to go off 0.25, say, I think I might have only got 1, and that might have been my last one.
You'd still be last.
Yeah, I still would have lost. Yeah, exactly.
Kinger, I'd like to extend to you an invitation to the AWA. That would be the Anti-Walshy Alliance. Now that he's dissed you, you can join up with me and we actually will have an alliance that's not just me and my thoughts.
I was going to throw out this, Mark, for us.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Just to say is like first to worst, second to best. Where did we place, Mark?
We were last, Walshy.
If you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Walshy, unfortunately, that's
Second
the way it
place.
works.
Yeah, you were.
First,
Yeah.
I was brought up on that phrase. First to worst, second to best.
Is
Third, the one with
that
the
because you
chest.
didn't win?
Are we 6 again?
Exactly.
That wraps us up for this week on Amber Ales. I think strangely disappointing week for Mark, especially. Wasn't a major fan.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've been let down by not the style so much as the people who picked the amber ales, and I think those people need to, have a good hard look at themselves.
Mark, before I tell everyone what we're having next week, where can they find us?
Yeah, Kinger. So, Crafty Crew Podcast, guys, we are on Facebook. You can email us at craftycrewpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Untapped under the same name. And anywhere you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Anchor, iTunes, YouTube even, we're there, Crafty Crew Podcast. So please hit us up, give us a like, follow us. And if at any point you'd like to ask a question or have a question answered on the podcast, please just send it in. We'll answer it and it'll be on the next episode.
Next week, we are actually having 2 different styles on the podcast for the first time ever, but they're both gluten-free beers. So one is Curious Society's Pilsner and the other is Siren's Lumina Session IPA. So that's a bit of a mix-up for next week. Also, I'm quite happy I got away scot-free, relatively scot-free after my comments coming out of last week's episode. I won't say anything because I don't think the lads actually listened to it. So
Yeah, we did listen to it.
We did listen
but I
to
don't
it. What
remember what it
comments?
was.
Hold on.
There's
Hold
only
on,
comments
yeah.
in the outro.
Yeah, so
in the outro. We didn't
No,
listen.
Yeah,
I
what
stopped
happened
it
there
like
was,
5
Mark,
minutes from the end.
we said we'd let Kinger have his little shout out for it, and we said we'd leave him away with it, and we'd let him away with it, and just let you listen to it and see what happened. But so, fortunately, I don't think we're going to have time for you to call it out in this.
What did you say about me?
Mark, you missed it.
What
man,
did
I
you
can't
say
believe
about me?
it. You need to check that outro again.
I'm just going to fade you guys out from now on. I'm going to say that until next week, it's a goodbye from Nally, goodbye from Mark, goodbye from Walshy, from myself, Kinger. See you next week.
Damn it.